What's good? Welcome to Numbers Never Lie alongside the great Jemele Hill. I'm the above average Michael Smith. And we're expecting lots of company today. Charlie Batch, Charlie Murphy, Randall Cobb, and Kenny Mayne.
That's right. Move over, Kobe 50 and Meryl Streep. We got our own awesome trio going here.
Right.
Meanwhile, our number one topic today is Peyton going for 2. The number in the news for Peyton Manning is 12. If he beats Seattle in the Super Bowl, Manning will become the 12th starting quarterback to win multiple Super Bowls. For some, that's enough to warrant Manning being considered the best quarterback of all time, but not in Charles Barkley's eyes. Take a listen.
No matter what happened this Sunday, I don't think you can compare Peyton to Tom Brady. Tom Brady has won 3 Super Bowls, and he's been to 5. I can't put a guy who's won 1 or 2 Super Bowls in his conversation yet. I'm not Bird, Magic, LeBron, or Kobe, or Tim Duncan, and I'm definitely not Oscar Robertson or Bill Russell, those guys. But you know what? I was a pretty good down player, and my life don't suck, but I have to live with that cross to bear, that I didn't win the championship.
Only Chuck. Now, Barkley is ranked 23rd on the NBA's all-time scoring list. Of the 22 players ahead of him, only 5 don't have championships. I was so surprised by what he said. I actually texted Charles last night, and I said, yeah, I know, humble brag. And I asked him, I said, would you trade what is presumably a Hall of Fame broadcasting career for 1 NBA title? What do you think he said?
I would hope he said yes.
No, he said no, which really surprised me. And I guess it leads to a larger conversation. As he said, his life doesn't suck.
That's true.
So do we put too much emphasis on championships?
I'm pleasantly surprised by Charles's answer. And my answer to your question is absolutely we put too much emphasis on championships. Entirely too much emphasis on championships. And it's become a pet peeve of mine, right next to leaving a swallow of orange juice in the refrigerator. Okay? But it bothers me because it's a team sport. And we underestimate how much good fortune, good health.
No, we talk about football in particular.
I'm talking about all team sports.
Okay.
I'm talking about football in particular. I'll get to Brady and Manning in a second, but I'm talking about basketball. I'm talking about baseball. Good fortune, good health, circumstances have to do with it. I don't mind championships being part of the conversation or a tiebreaker if necessary. But when people use championships like in these debates about the greatest of all time as if it's somehow the big joker, as if it's somehow the end all and be all, that just bugs me because it's a team accomplishment. And it doesn't diminish one's individual greatness if your team was not able to get over that proverbial hump.
But Mike, you can't see this through rose-colored glasses, though I see that they're gray. Certain positions are more influential than others, and specifically quarterback in the NFL, you're not going to win anything significant unless you have a guy, the man at that position. And that's why so much responsibility, they touch the ball more than anybody else presumably on the field, so much is put on their shoulders. Peyton Manning, the reason why we continually are having this legacy debate about him is because our eyes did not deceive us. He may not have had the most complete teams. You could argue that the Patriots teams were more complete than his that he went against, but he fell down on the job. His offense did not perform the way that it did in the regular season. A lot of that started with him.
There's no question about that. So let's just focus on Brady v. Manning since that's where this conversation is going. I mentioned this yesterday. Tom Brady is a superior quarterback from 2005 until now than he was from 01 to 04. And yet he's got no rings to show for it. You know what history and time has a way of making us forget the details. Okay, we forget the end result. We don't forget the details. Like, let's take 01, for example. I'm sure Raiders fans still have not forgotten about the Tuck rule. Or the fact that it took a blocked field goal return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown and a Drew Bledsoe touchdown pass to win the first AFC title game the Patriots won. Then Adam Vinatieri's field goals are the difference in those first 2 Super Bowls. Next, you go farther down in Brady's career, and what if David Tyree doesn't pin a ball against his head? What if Wes Welker catches the ball in the Giants-Patriots
Or Eli Manning doesn't make that ridiculous throw?
You understand what I'm saying? It's so much that has to break in your favor in order to win a championship until it shouldn't be held against those who do not.
Well, I think there are some people whose talent is so great. Like, you mean to tell me that if LeBron never won a title, that you would look at him and his talent the same?
Don't get me wrong, he puts you in another stratosphere.
And furthermore, let me call you on something.
Call me on it.
Michael Jordan, you don't think anybody can replace him as the number 1 player NBA history, correct?
That's my opinion now, yeah.
First thing everybody always says is what? 6 for 6 in the finals.
That's the first thing everybody says.
You say that too?
No, I don't.
Oh.
No, I don't. Because
so why would you consider him the number one player?
That's not the only reason why. I've said LeBron could win 8 titles and he would not surpass Michael Jordan, because it's not championships. If it's just rings, then Robert Horry is one of the greatest of all time.
Bill Russell,
it should be the greatest of all time with all the rings he has. We don't judge it just on that. It's a factor, but not the only factor. So just in football, you mean to tell me Dan Marino was somehow inferior to Joe Montana as a passer because his teams didn't win a Super Bowl? Barry Sanders wasn't one of the greatest running backs of all time. Jim Kelly went to 4 Super Bowls. Running back is more dependent
on someone else to give them the ball. Same with wide receiver.
It's still a team.
Yeah, it is still a team, but if you don't have that guy, you act like you can remove the quarterback from that equation, and all of a sudden they can still wind up in the same place.
As we get to the number, I'm also saying that the quarterback by himself can't do it all.
No, he can't do it. But
just like Barkley couldn't do it all. Elgin Baylor went to 8 finals and lost to the better teams with the Celtics.
They can certainly uplift. And they can certainly lose games.
You put Warren Moon in your top 5 quarterbacks, Jemele.
I did. I didn't say the championships decided everything, but I'm not down with I'm not down with the participation society.
I'm not saying that. You asked if we put too much. Is that what the screen says? We put too much emphasis. Yes.
Okay. Well, guess what? Since you said it, the numbers also say yes.
Thank you.
Especially when it comes to judging quarterbacks who have no control over the quality of their defenses. When Tom Brady won 3 titles in 4 years, the Patriots allowed the 3rd fewest points in the NFL. Only 2 seasons in Peyton Manning's career has his team ranked top 3 in scoring defense.
It's a great number.
By the way, Chuck, you need more people. I don't believe you.
I don't either. And he's had a great broadcasting career, but I think he's just come to grips with it and making peace with it. I think he would trade it for 1 championship. So Shaq don't give him grief on TNT every night.
Speaking of championships, we'll talk about a player pursuing one right now. The number in the news for Kevin Durant is 6. With this game-winning shot, you'll see soon over Atlanta with 1.5 seconds left. There it is. Durant notched his 6th. No, that wasn't it. That's just him going to work on the Spurs. But nevertheless, he notched his 6th 40-point game of the season against Atlanta, 5 of which have come this month. To put this in perspective, no other player has scored more than 2 40-point games this season. The Thunder, they also won their 8th straight. I'll continue to say this until I'm blue in the face, Mike. Kevin Durant has had a better season, everybody out there, this season, I'm tired of y'all tweeting me, than LeBron James.
Okay.
So are you finally willing to admit that right now Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA?
You just asked me 2 different questions.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
This season right now.
And you think you're slick.
I'm not.
No.
I'm just saying.
No. You think you're slick.
Okay.
You're trying to have it both ways. You're trying to have it both ways.
All right.
To me, these 2 things are mutually exclusive.
Okay.
Kevin Durant, there is no denying. He's playing the best basketball of anyone, including LeBron James.
So right now he's the best player in the world.
He's the MVP to this point in the season right now. But playing the best and being the best player, at least in my feeble mind, can be mutually exclusive, and they are in this case. I still believe LeBron James is the best player in the world. And that's not taking anything away from Kevin Durant. I'll give him a 1, okay? A 1A, excuse me. If LeBron's 1, Durant's 1A. But I have a hard time elevating Durant so soon. And this is not to say this is overnight success. He's been a great player. He's been coming for a while.
And keep in mind, there hasn't been a lot of separation between these 2.
True.
Rings has been the biggest, and obviously MVPs.
I do think resume, I know you're talking about in the moment, Jemele, and there's no denying in the moment Kevin Durant is on another level from anybody right now. But I do think when you talk about the best player in the game, okay, I think the recent resume in particular, has to come into effect. Now, this goes back to the conversation we just had about the rings. Do we overrate them? Yes. And that's not the end-all, be-all for this conversation. But the 2-time defending NBA Finals MVP and all the things that LeBron had to do in order to secure his place as the best player in the world, I'm kind of like, what's the rush to anoint Durant?
I don't think it's a rush.
It feels like there is.
I think it is about Kevin Durant seizing the moment. And this is not to suggest that LeBron's time is over, because people think if you elevate one, that means the other one is just somehow out the window.
This has very much become a polarizing discussion.
It has, and especially because the Laker fans want to throw Kobe in there for some reason right now, even though he's not playing. But here's the thing. I give more credit to Kevin Durant because I think, and this is the part that people miss, he's rounded out his entire game.
Yes.
So it's almost
like
when people say Kevin Durant's the best pure scorer, it comes off to me like an insult.
We can stop qualifying it.
Because he's right now, currently, this moment, he's better than LeBron in 14 statistical categories, many of which are on defense. More blocks, more personal fouls drawn, higher plus minus, fewer turnovers, more steals, all those things that we give LeBron credit for. This to me is all about, maybe not you, but a lot of people being so caught up in LeBron's physical ability that they are not willing to look at Kevin Durant and say, there's no way this guy could possibly be better than him.
You know what?
And it's the ring thing.
But I'll own it. Maybe it is my problem. Maybe I'm too caught up in the past. You know, I'm drinking coffee, maybe I'm not smelling it. Maybe my issue is that I'm still hung up on this idea of LeBron being the best player in the world, and I'm not appreciating what's right in front of me right here, right now. That may be the case. I admit I may be guilty of that. I don't think I am. And I'm not accusing you and others of being prisoners of the moment either. I just think that right now, LeBron, I'm not even going to give him an excuse to say he's coasting. Forget all of that.
But he kind of is.
Well, but he kind of is. But to me, that's finding an excuse and circumventing the fact that Kevin Durant has been just that brilliant. But I think LeBron, it's what are we talking about? Are we talking about who's playing the best? It's not up for debate right now. We're talking about who's the midseason MVP. As much as I tried to debate it a couple of weeks ago, no longer is that up for debate. But is the best player, like, you know, most talented player that you would start a franchise with if you were picking one right now?
That's not
what conversation are we really
having? We're having this season in this moment.
But then you ask me who's the best player.
Right now it's Kevin Durant.
He's playing the best.
Yes, and he's the best player.
Notice the difference in the words.
I do notice the difference, but I think you're trying to split hairs, trying to play both sides of the fence. I mean, Kevin Durant is averaging 36.9 points per game this month.
Not arguing with that.
The second highest scoring average in January since the ABA-NBA merger. Only Kobe's was higher. That's ridiculous.
Okay, so basically, LeBron is Bishop, Durant is Q. He got the juice now.
Pretty much.
Okay, all right, I hear you.
And not to mention, LeBron is in a weaker conference. He is. It's only got one team to worry about. It's still 3 games behind Indiana. Kevin Durant, tougher conference. Without Russell Westbrook, they're the number 1 team in the West. Best record in the West.
Atlanta last night.
Yeah, I believe Miami lost to them. I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm more willing to be civil about this.
I'm being civil. Voice ain't raised yet. Are you ready to admit, Mike, Kevin Durant is the best player?
Sounds like I don't want to give him the credit he deserves.
In the NBA. A lot of people don't. The numbers say yes. You should be ready to admit that. Durant currently leads the NBA with a 31.1 player efficiency rating. The only 3 times in the last 10 seasons a player finished in January with a PR of at least 31. He went on to win MVP all 3 times. Guess who it was? It was LeBron.
Sure, he's the MVP right now. Give it to him. This feels like, would you rather have Magic or Jordan?
Well, y'all saying right now because y'all expect LeBron to swoop it. May not get that chance. All right, let's stay on Kevin Durant. The number in the news for him is also 36.5. That's how many points per game Kevin Durant is averaging since Russell Westbrook last played on Christmas Day. With last night's 41-point game, Durant now has 11 straight games of over 30-plus points. That's the longest streak since Tracy McGrady scored over 30 in 14 straight games during the 2002-03 season. Now, I think we're seeing a different side of Kevin Durant, a meaner side, a nastier side, because he doesn't have to share the spotlight with a certain all-star point guard who takes away from his touches and often thinks that he is the star of the show. I will say this.
Are you talking to me right now?
No. This is not a subliminal message.
How personal just
not a subliminal message. Look, I ain't trying to start nothing, but I think this is proof, this incredible stretch, that Kevin Durant, in the long run, is better off without Russell Westbrook. Yeah, I said it. Go ahead.
So Russell Westbrook in only 25 games this year is averaging 21 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. The last guard to do that was Gary Payton back in 2000. The only guy to do that in the last 10 years, his name's LeBron James. Why is it that every time Durant does something great, it becomes a referendum on Russell Westbrook? It's like Russell Westbrook in his own right. We did our top 5 yesterday. There are some nights where he is the best player on OKC.
He is, I agree.
There are some nights where he is a top 5 player. There are players around the NBA, take, I don't know, a guy like Carmelo Anthony, who probably killed to play with a talent like Russell Westbrook. Okay? So why would Durant may individually shine without Russell Westbrook, but win the championship, win the whole thing, I don't think he does it without his sidekick. Everybody needs a sidekick. You need me to be your sidekick every day, right?
I do.
Okay.
And look,
here I am.
I don't want people, and I need to be yours on a lot of days as well. Please don't confuse me saying Durant doesn't need any help was saying that he's better off without this guy in particular. Mike, may I speak ratchet?
Please.
Okay, here's the thing. When you have a side person, okay, you can put whatever gender, and I'm not speaking from experience, I'm just saying this is what's out in these streets.
Sure.
Some side persons think they should be the main. Russell Westbrook thinks he should be the main, and he's not. Kevin Durant.
You haven't watched enough Russell Westbrook.
No, I have, but here's the thing. I'm not completely convinced. Their personalities, and they're very good friends, so I'm certainly not trying to make it seem like they don't get along. But I think that Kevin Durant, part of the reason he's looked so comfortable, A, he learned from the playoffs, and I think he's more comfortable and developed in his overall game.
Yes, he's better.
And two, he understands his role, and he's nastier and meaner, and he's got the edge. Kevin Durant needs a sidekick. He just doesn't need a dude that thinks he's the main. Russell Westbrook thinks he's the main.
These two mains went to the finals 2 years ago. And last year, you know what Kevin Durant learned in the playoffs? I need Russell Westbrook.
No, he needs a sidekick. He don't need that guy.
Granted, his supporting cast, Reggie Jackson in particular,
exactly. You know why?
Because they've gotten better this year.
Reggie Jackson isn't trying to be the main.
You are tripping.
He's trying to be the side.
So you said, okay, so it will be addition by subtraction if they got rid of Russell Westbrook?
We've seen chemistry.
You are on one.
Nobody.
We talking about rings being overrated. Nobody did it without an all-star sidekick. Nobody.
All right.
Except for the Pistons and
I was going to bring that up. Yeah. Is Kevin Durant better off without Russell Westbrook? Hey, guess what, Mike? The numbers say yes. Durant has a...
Like I care.
Just it shows numbers never lie. Durant has a 35.9 PER without Westbrook on the court this year, a rate that would be the highest of all time. And the Thunder have been better as well, outscoring opponents by 5 more points per 48 minutes when Durant plays without Westbrook than when he plays with him. You know who else this worked for? Kobe Bryant. That's who else that worked for. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
And then they went and got Paul Gasol in.
Yeah, different kind of sidekick though.
The number in the news for Carmelo Anthony is 39. After scoring a combined 100 points in his last 2 games, Melo finds himself 39 points away from 19,000 for his career heading into tonight's game against the Celtics. Is he headed for another career relocation is the question on the minds of Knicks fans. If anyone qualifies as a source familiar with his thinking, it's his wife, Lala Anthony.
I get blamed for everything. You know, no matter what happens, it's my fault. I mean, it's all these talks if he's staying in New York or not. I'm somehow the mastermind behind if he stays or not.
Do you think he will stay?
I definitely think he will stay. I know that he wants to stay, and I support him wherever he wants to go. Listen, I used to live in Denver with him. If I could live in Denver, I could live anywhere.
As they say, happy wife, happy life. Which is why, if I'm a Knicks fan, I trust Lala's word on this.
Lala, you can't do this. I mean, look, obviously I like to stick up for women 99.9% of the time. This is the small percentage. I can't stick up for her with this. Well, hey, she is right. She probably does get a lot more blame. However, she's an influencer. Lala, have you looked at the Knicks? They're terrible. You don't want Carmelo to suffer through more regimes that don't know what they're doing, an owner that clearly doesn't know what he's doing. And I understand it's a lot of money on the table. You know what would make Carmelo happiest? And he said this, is a ring. He's not getting that in New York. Newsflash, he's not getting that. I said it.
So you don't believe that she knows what she's talking about?
No, I believe it, but I think she needs to steer him in another direction. Because clearly, as you said, happy life, happy wife, right? And Carmelo, look, you might have to pull out the big guns.
What you mean?
Look, you need to show her whose name is on that paycheck. The paycheck that furnishes her a fabulous lifestyle that allows her to be Lala Anthony in all her splendor. I'm just saying.
Wait, I don't know what you just did there. You acting like Lala got a job at the boutique on the weekends.
No.
Talking about now we got $300 million and $70 because I want to do my shit.
I'm just saying. At this point, I look, not to pull out the big wallet, but to pull out the big wallet. Carmelo is the one who's, furnishing
now you're speaking out of turn. Now you're speaking out of turn.
I'm just saying.
Let me educate you on something here, okay?
Tell me.
This is how every smart man knows that it's a simple rule. Listen to the woman, okay? And when you talk about $40 million difference, I think it is, between what he can get in New York and somewhere else, I don't care whose name is on the check. Trust me, Lala's got a voice in that, okay? So, again, obviously he's got to do his best on his basketball career, but trust me, don't let any married man fool you. The woman's in charge. Once that is, and it's different. This is why I always say, let me just get on a soapbox for a second. This is why I always say, when it comes to relationships, either you're married or you're not. There is no in between. Because when I tell you, when that ring goes on, it's like you're shifting all the power to the missus. So, yeah, Carmelo may have a say in this, but trust me, he's not making any kind of move if Lala is not completely on board. So it's not about being blamed for everything.
No.
It's about recognizing that the woman is the boss. Don't let nobody tell you different. Trust me. I don't even know. I can't even access my money.
You on an allowance.
I can't even spend it without getting questioned. Like, what you want that for?
But I would just guess that if you had a career decision to make,
I would have a large voice in it, but my wife would also.
It's not like she doesn't deserve any input.
And all jokes aside, this is the best advice I can give anybody. It takes 2 yeses and 1 no.
All right. Well, Carmelo, here's your no. Don't stay in New York.
I know that. Lala says Carmelo will stay. Should Knicks fans trust her? The numbers say no. Lala might be underestimating Carmelo's frustration with his lacking supporting cast. The Knicks are being outscored by 15 points per 48 minutes with Melo on the bench this season, a rate that would easily rank dead last over a full season.
See, you give him something he wants, then she can leverage that later.
Like, you know me, boss. Whatever. Welcome back to our first guest. Charlie Batch played a combined 12 seasons for the Lions and Steelers and threw 61 career touchdown passes and earned 2 Super Bowl rings as Ben Roethlisberger's backup in Pittsburgh. And he currently works as a TV analyst for KDKA in Pittsburgh. Charlie, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Hey, you don't short me on my 3 years. You only gave me 12. That's 15 total for me.
Oh, see, numbers never lie. You definitely put in work. That is for sure. Thank you. Peyton Manning, we just heard him talking about addressing the idea that he would ride off into the sunset with a 2nd Super Bowl ring. If you were in Peyton Manning's position and had accomplished all that he has, would you consider retirement if you were to beat the Seahawks on Sunday?
No, because you wouldn't need this game to really, build your legacy to the point to where it is at. I don't think he needs this Super Bowl to say he's one of the best to ever play the football game. But when you look at what Peyton Manning's over the last couple of years, remember 2 years ago he had a year off with that injury, so he was able to rest his body. So for him to say, hey, he doesn't feel like he reached his potential and he wants to play, I fully expect him to come back next season, win or lose.
And now you said he doesn't need this Super Bowl to prove he's one of the best, but a lot of people believe if he does win this Super Bowl that maybe he'll be the best. Do you see it that way as well?
Well, you don't, because everybody's going to start putting back on whether or not he has more championship rings than maybe what a Troy Aikman has, or Terry Bradshaw. So those are things that really, when you look at it, what Joe Montana has done with 4 Super Bowl rings, he'll never get to that point unless over the next couple of years he's able to put those championship rings under his belt. But for him to where he stands, yes, he would love a 2nd championship ring, and what better way for him to get it on Sunday?
We were talking about this earlier at the show about the emphasis that's placed on championship rings when it comes to conversations about the greatest of all time. You got 2 as a backup friend and mentor to Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. When it comes to sports conversations and ranking the greats as we love to do we overemphasize rings when it comes to who was better than such and such?
Oh, I mean, everybody does that. I mean, when you look back, you can't even say he's the best in his family if you talk about Super Bowl rings. So everybody's going to have that debate. I mean, and it's just one of those things. Has he been able to do it on a consistent basis? Yes. But when you get to this week, all the emphasis on winning a Super Bowl, and what better way for him if he's able to really get over that hump and get his 2nd Super Bowl ring? He would doubt a lot of people.
Now, I want to move on to something a little bit more serious. A recent ESPN NFL Nation survey, it revealed that 85% of NFL players said they would play in the Super Bowl with a concussion. Does that result surprise you at all?
No, it doesn't, because this is the last game. And when you talk about the survey, people may think to themselves, hey, if I do get a concussion, hey, I have an extra 6 months to recover for something like that. So you would see people pushing through, concussion in this game. But one thing you have to do, that's why you have the doctors on the field trying to protect the players against themselves.
If it were you, Charlie, and you had a concussion, would you play in the Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely I would. I mean, I would do everything in my power to go out there as long as I was able to really pass the test on the sideline. But, it's just one of those things. Is it, does everybody see it, me laying on the field, or do you just get one of those little dings and maybe your head is ringing a little bit to the point where you're maybe able to fool somebody during a test? But I think when you are getting ready for this game, I think you're going to do everything in your power to stay out there on the field.
But Charlie, that warrior mentality that a lot of players have, according to the survey that you just supported a second ago, doesn't that kind of contradict this climate that we're in right now when it comes to player safety? And we just had the settlement for the lawsuit for the concussions and what have you. How are we supposed to move forward and better protect players from long-term damage if they won't take the initiative to pull themselves out, even with a Super Bowl on the line?
Well, I think that's where you start right there. You have to say this is long-term benefit versus just looking at it at this game. You know, how many concussions has one player have? Is it multiple concussions? So you take history into that as it relates to what the player history is. But you literally have to explain that, and whether or not, you know, people understand it, that's why you have people on the sideline that's going to make those decisions for the players.
And finally, since you're Mr. TV analyst now, before we get you out of here, you got to give us your Super Bowl pick, and feel free to add a final score if you want.
But when I look at it, I mean, this kind of reminds me of the Tampa Bay defense going up against the Oakland Raider offense when they headed into the Super Bowl, and everybody was going with Oakland during that time, and Tampa Bay defense just dominated. I look at this particular game in the same manner, where I see Seattle ultimately coming on top, and this will be a 24-20 ball game.
All right.
15-year NFL veteran Charlie Batchin, analyst for KDK in Pittsburgh. Thank you very much for joining NNL, man. We appreciate you.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the number you need to know for Randall Cobb is 108, because back in 2011, he burst onto the scene with this ridiculous 108-yard kickoff return for the Packers. It's tied for the second longest in NFL history. He just completed his third NFL season, and in 2012, he led the league with 2,342 all-purpose yards. But he's not only a versatile performer on the football field. Randall Cobb joins us now on Numbers Never Lie, and it is a rather significant day in the life of Randall Cobb, because you are making your Broadway debut, your acting debut tonight in Rock of Ages. Tell us about that.
Yes, I am, and it's going to be very interesting. I'm excited about it.
Now, what are you going to be doing? Are you singing? What's your role?
You know, that's funny, because I actually don't even know yet, so I'll find that out here in a little bit. And, you know, I'm really just looking forward to diversifying, you know, who I am as a person, and being able to be in something different and do something different.
When did you first start getting into acting?
I haven't really got into it yet. I've always thought about it, and, you know, my agency approached me with the opportunity. So, you know, of course, why not? I think it would definitely be a great opportunity for me to have that opportunity to go on and do something different.
As somebody who performs on Sundays in front of those passionate Lambeau Field fans, I imagine this is going to be a walk in the park for you, right? No nerves.
No, I'm nervous. I don't know what's going to happen up there on stage, but, you know, I'm really excited about the opportunity. I think it'll be fun.
Well, we wish you the best.
Thank you.
All right, well, we'll move on to the football field and talk about something a little bit more serious. A recent ESPN NFL Nation survey revealed that 85% of NFL players said they would play in the Super Bowl with a concussion. How surprised are you by that statistic?
You know, actually, I'm not really surprised at all, because, you know, for guys that love the game and they love what they do and they love to play ball, you know, we want to be out there on the field, and, you know, it's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest game of your career. It's the biggest game of all of football, from high school to college to the NFL. So I think guys would want to be a part of that opportunity, because you never know when you're going to get to play in one again.
It certainly is what you guys strive for and play for. Now, you played against the Seahawks defense. Fast forward into this matchup on Sunday. You faced them last season. What makes them so good, and what do you think is going to be the key for Peyton Manning to be his usual effective self against the Legion of Boom?
Well, definitely, I think the Seahawks defense, one of the biggest things they do is get pressure on the quarterback. It's definitely going to be a chess match between Peyton and that defense, as far as them coming on blitzes and Peyton being able to adjust protection and pick up the blitzes and get the ball out. And then you look at the Legion of Boom, like you said. I mean, that's one of the toughest secondaries in the league, you know, led off by Earl Thomas, you know, the leading tackler of the team. He does a great job at, you know, getting the guys lined up and getting them in the right spots. And Richard Sherman shut down. You know, they got guys in that secondary that can take care of business.
And now, obviously, the Legion of Boom is known for being very physical. As a wide receiver, what should Denver's wide receivers expect in terms of the physicality and some of the bump and run coverages?
I think the biggest thing they have to expect is getting off press. So those guys do a good job. They're long corners. They have long corners. They do a good job of getting hands on and adjusting you at the line of scrimmage with your route releases. So they have to do a good job at the line of scrimmage, and just being on time with Peyton, as far as that chemistry and understanding that things are going to be sped up just a little bit with that pressure that the Seahawks are going to get.
Now, you are well-conditioned and experienced when it comes to playing in the elements. Not that the Broncos and the Seahawks aren't, for that matter, but there's a lot of talk about the Super Bowl being played in New York, New Jersey. What is the key to playing your best when the elements might be against you?
It's the mindset. It's the mindset going into the game. You know it's going to be cold. You're going to be cold. They're going to be cold. At the end of the day, when you walk in between those lines, all it's about is taking care of business. And I know that may be in their minds when they're on the sidelines, but when they step in between those lines, it's time to play ball.
Now, it's convenient for you because, once again, you're big time. You're making your Broadway debut tonight. So everything's going on in New York right now. It's the center of your universe. But that said, a lot of people, like my esteemed colleague Jemele, don't like the idea of the championship game being played outdoors in the elements. Do you?
No, I'm right there with you. I don't like cold weather. You know,
See?
That would seem to be a problem for a Green Bay Packer. You know,
it's still cold out there. You never really get used to the cold. You just learn to deal with it.
So you mean to tell me you would not welcome a Super Bowl to Lambeau Field? The Lombardi Trophy on the line at Lambeau Field?
No, that's totally different.
Oh,
we're talking about Lambeau Field. Then that's home for me.
Okay.
Now we got to get you out of here. But before you go, here's your opportunity, Randall. You got to tell us something, some juicy gossip or dirt. Tell us something we don't know about Aaron Rodgers.
Some gossip, man. I'm not the type to gossip.
All right, maybe not gossip.
That man said he wants the ball.
All right, maybe not gossip, but you gotta have something that you have on Aaron Rodgers. Some habits, something that we don't know about.
Randall, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm
She
good.
tried to get you in trouble.
That's one of my good buddies, bro. I'm not gonna put him out there like that.
She's still trying to get you in trouble, man. She do it to me every day. Trying to get you in trouble with your quarterback. You got mouths to feed, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, good luck tonight on Broadway.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. Hey, Marshawn Lynch has been known to make the earth move. He's got a new food product out that might just make your stomach quake. But immediately after the break, Charlie Murphy's going to come kick it. And after he's done, we'll offer him some pancakes.
Randall didn't take the bait. But first, the number you can't debate. Green Bay's offense has averaged 1 full yard per play, more with Randall Cobb on the field in the last 2 seasons than without him. See, that's why he wouldn't down out Aaron Rodgers.
He's an impact player. As an impact player.
Yeah.
Trying to get him in trouble. See how you trying to
I like to start stuff.
Meanwhile, the number in the news that you need to know and all that good stuff for Charlie Murphy is 11. Because it's been 11 years since Chappelle's show debuted. I mean, me and Jemele, we go back with Charlie Murphy to Mo Better Blues. You just got 2 sticks growing out your back. Harlem Nights, CB4. But a lot of people came to know him from the Chappelle show and his wonderful true Hollywood stories about Rick James and Prince and so on and so forth. We are very pleased to welcome in actor and comedian Charlie Murphy. Man, it's such a pleasure. Thank you for the laughs over the years. Thank you for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Oh, man. So listen, I know you're a big sports fan, and I'm assuming by now, you know, you watched the Richard Sherman interview after the NFC title game and the fallout. A lot of people had a problem with it. As a matter of fact, Charlie Murphy, a lot of people think Richard Sherman, he crosses the line habitually. That he's a habitual
line stepper.
Yes.
Well,
is he a habitual line
here's my
stepper
take on that. Here's my take on that, man. He didn't do anything that I've never heard them do in the WWF. Wrestlers threaten people every day. It's all good. And he didn't threaten anybody. He just was being passionate about the sport. It was a moment, you know, right after the game. He was pumped up, a lot of testosterone, and he said what he said. But I don't know why it was a big deal made out of it.
Yeah, in your line of work, though, Charlie, you come across a lot of trash talkers. Who's the best trash talker that you've ever known?
Me. So could you imagine if I would have had just won the AFC championship, what I would have said? Come on, man.
Can you say what you would have said?
Sherman. Nah, not on television. You know, I can't say it, man. That's what I'm saying. It would have been way worse than what Sherman did, man.
I heard that. Well, I don't seem to recall you talking a lot of trash to Prince when he was crossing you up.
Nah. You know. Listen, man. That was a unique situation. That was a unique situation, man.
Oh, well, you have to give us some idea, because I think for most people, one of the reasons that story resonated is because we just could not picture Prince playing basketball. So give us an idea. What were his skills like?
That's one of the reasons why he won the game. I couldn't believe it either. I couldn't picture it either, but it was happening right in front of me, and I had to ask myself, is it all really happening?
Have you seen Prince or encountered Prince since that famous True Hollywood Story on Chappelle's show?
Yeah, I've seen him a couple times. You know, the last time I seen him, I went to his show actually at the Rio because he had a room there and he was doing shows like I think 2 or 3 times a week. I was in Vegas. I'm a Prince fan. I went to the show. And my wife was with me. My wife was alive at the time. She was with me and 2 other of my friends. We all walked in and we looked at the stage and no one was up there. It was like, what's going on? Everybody's jamming. Then we looked to the right and Prince was standing right next to us. He was walking all the way around the circumference of the room, rocking out. And he seen me and he stopped for a second and he did like this. He just rocked off, you know. I was like, okay.
So Prince played you to the left a little bit.
He played me to the left. He got me back that night, yeah.
Now,
but nobody's seen that but me. That was, you know, I'm telling you about it. You wouldn't even know about it if I didn't tell you.
that shows how secure you are, Charlie. Now, of course, you mentioned that Rick James, part of that whole bit was that Rick James was a guy that you always thought was super cool. Were there any athletes that you also got a chance to kind of hang out with that you kind of consider?
Several athletes that are super cool.
Okay.
You know, Sugar Ray Leonard, friend of the family, very, very cool brother, very together brother, very disciplined brother. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard is a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Now, are there any sort of Charlie Murphy for this PG TV, Disney TV, that you can share with us about any particular athletes that we'd be familiar with?
What, like stories?
Yeah.
Okay. Sugar Ray might be mad when I tell you this story. But I remember one time I came in the room, we was at a party, and we were all having fun, and then Sugar Ray wanted to show how much control he had with his punch. Like, you know, like he could throw it full power and stop the punch where it won't hurt you. And he needed a volunteer. Of course, I didn't volunteer, but these 2 other comedians, they volunteered. And he was showing, he was hitting them, looked like he was hitting them hard, but it wasn't hurting. And it wasn't making any noise either. So he said, now we're going to have to do it with your shirts off. And the next thing you know, these 2 guys was in the corner with their shirts off at a party going like this. Come on, Sugar, stop, man, stop. Oh. And for a split second, he looked like a bully, but he was, you know, he wasn't, he asked them, and they went along with it.
Who would you like to hang out with out of today's generation of athletes, if you could?
Out of today's generation of athletes, Chris Paul's, I met him in the airport. He's a real cool dude. I could hang out with him. You know, it's a whole bunch of them, man. Especially, I'm a big boxing fan, so I like Money May. I like, you know, all the young fighters that's coming up. Canelo Alvarez. You know, my man, the new heavyweight that we have. I'm trying to remember his name. I feel stupid right now because I'm a big fan of his, man. I want to get his name right. Deontay Wilder. Mm-hmm. Okay, those dudes are awesome guys, man. Andre Ward. You know, I'm big fans of guys like that.
Well, we big fans of yours, man, and we appreciate your work over the years. Thank you for joining us. Man, we got Charlie Murphy.
Hey, listen. The show. On the Super Bowl this weekend.
Yep.
We had to call it the Super Cold Super Bowl. Okay, that ball is going to be hard as a rock, and it's going to be cold, man. So these guys are playing more than against each other. They're playing against the elements. It's going to be a very, very, very good football game. I can't wait to watch it.
Real quick, what you got?
I'm going to tell you like this, man. Seattle deserves it just as much as Denver, but me personally, I'm not a fan of either team. I'm a fan of the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm going with Denver because if Denver wins, Peyton Manning makes history. Him and his brother both won a Super Bowl in each other's arena, and he'll be the first quarterback in history to win a Super Bowl championship with 2 different franchises. So I would like to see that happen.
Look at Charlie Murphy.
To beat that, you're going to have 3 brothers in the NFL. Their record is stand forever unless somebody comes with 3 brothers that's all quarterbacks and they all go to the NFL and they all play in each other's stadium. That's never going to happen.
Well, you know all about successful families, man. Thank you. Dropping numbers. Numbers never lie.
We appreciate
numbers never lie.
The show. They should have never gave us money. Look who is back. Friend of the show, Kenny Mayne. Yes. What you call him earlier, Janelle?
You like the white bruh man from Martin?
From the 5th floor?
From the 5th floor?
No, I'm good with that. I like that.
You just drop by whenever you feel like it.
And I wish you.
I brought gifts. I got for you. Just fancy whole cashews.
Okay. Did we look hungry?
No, but you save that for the Super Bowl.
Thank you.
Skittles in honor of 24.
Okay.
Speaking of Skittles, you got more?
Oh, look at this.
For the crew.
Oh,
Hey,
awesome.
check
Speaking
it
of
out.
Skittles, check this out. The number you need to know for Beast Mode sausage is $4.99 because a deli in Washington, Kenny, is selling hot Skittles sausage for $4.99 a pound. Would you eat hot Skittles sausage?
Of course. But didn't he also sign a big ad deal? I just thought
He did.
Yeah, who's
Yeah,
he
he
doing that
did.
with? Skittles, I hope.
I think it's like, yeah, it was Skittles, yeah.
Yeah. Or Mr. Clean. I don't know, something big, something like Gainsborough, whatever, something huge. He's got to. He deserves it. He's a great character. He doesn't love doing dorky interviews, but he's a great personality. His legs are fresh. I feel good about 24.
And he's got Skittles to power him through, right?
You love him so much that you would eat that?
I would eat. You know what? If Marshawn's endorsing it, I'm in.
You would not eat that.
Really?
I'll eat it. I don't care.
I'm not going to say what that looks like, but everybody use their imagination.
You know where you go to the store and you see head cheese, you know, back in the deli? Yeah. It's probably like, but you know what? He must have thought it. Maybe they paid him. Maybe that's all it is.
I think a lot of money was paid.
I've done stuff for money that I didn't believe in entirely. Not
That was an include this show.
But this week I very much believe. I'm advocating the Super Bowl be moved to Saturday.
Oh, well,
Okay. Meanwhile, the
let's talk
number
about
you
babies
need to know for babies is 12, Kenny, because a baby in Seattle was just named Cindy Lee 12th Man.
That's all
You heard that right. 12 is one of her middle
I'm
names.
just learning. My middle name is Wheelock, so I got nothing to.
which I just found out.
Founder of Dartmouth College, Ely is a Wheelock. And
12th man, though?
Russell Wilson's dad went to Dartmouth, so there's that connection.
You're just full of
obsessed
fun
with the Seahawks.
facts.
They said go fast. Spitting it out. 12th man is the name of the baby, just 12th.
Middle name.
Middle name.
Man or woman?
I think it's a girl.
I think it's a girl.
But the
Yeah.
middle name is 12th man.
That's fine, whatever. You know when Prince changed his name to that weird
Symbol?
Symbol, yeah.
It's like that.
Not quite.
I think it's worse,
It's our version.
personally.
I don't know about that.
How about Prince's song for the Vikings? That was rough. I love Prince, but that was rough.
Speaking of songs,
right.
the number you need to know for Battioki is 3. Last night was Shane Battier's 3rd annual charity fundraiser. Most of his teammates, they took the stage and they sang karaoke. Go. What's your go-to song for
Shane
karaoke?
Battier's brother is a casino host in Cincinnati and gave us a free meal when we were shooting Wider World of Sports. And it was one of the best meals I've ever had in my life.
What was the meal?
6 degrees of Kenny Mayne.
It was shrimp. It was everything. They just kept bringing food.
Yo, you really have no home training.
Binions.
He bought Skittles. I'm not supposed to eat Skittles?
Really?
What'd you bring me for? Didn't you bring me to eat?
Oh, air?
Save it, whatever you want.
Like, you just gonna start breaking out a pack of
One time I was
Skittles?
doing a show like this, and I started hyping some company just randomly, and I found out the whole segment was brought to you by their competitor.
Oh.
Is anybody candy doing this segment?
I don't think so. Before we go, you got to show people your shoes. You wearing the shoes?
Oh,
Yeah, put them right up there.
These are real. Snoop Dogg slippers.
Can we get a
I
close
said
up of
on
these?
Twitter. Now my ankle's locking up.
Snoop Dogg slippers?
Yeah, and somebody asked on Twitter, where did you get those from? I said, what did I say? D-O-O-G is what I said. That's right. It's true.
See?
I know him. He's helped me out. He's been in my stories. And Kevin Barkey, his manager, sent me some for Christmas.
Say goodbye to people for us.
Goodbye to people for us.